Good morning. Today is September 29th, almost 11 a.m., and just in the last hour, we've received notice that California Senator Dianne Feinstein passed away earlier this morning. Those of you who are even remotely politically inclined will know that Dianne Feinstein was the subject of some debate earlier this year regarding her fitness for the office as senator. This brings me to a subject I want to discuss this morning regarding Judge Pauline Newman, a 96-year-old judge with the Federal Circuit in Washington. Judge Newman has been on the court for decades at this point, and unfortunately, she is embroiled in a controversy, as is the Federal Circuit, regarding her ongoing fitness to hear cases. Those of you that practice before the Federal Circuit, certainly this is no news to you, but for those of you that don't, it is a really interesting issue. Chief Judge Kimberly Moore had basically convened a panel to determine what the appropriate sanction should be for Judge Newman. Judge Newman declined a mental fitness test, and as a consequence, this panel that I think certainly was convened by Chief Judge Kimberly Moore made a determination that she's not to hear a case for at least a year. Now, of course, at the age of 96, the fact that she can't hear a case and is effectively suspended for 1 year may very well be the end of her career. And so, not surprisingly, Judge Newman has challenged this ruling with her own filing in court. And among the things that she is alleging is that this is, in fact, politically motivated. I don't watch the Federal Circuit that closely, but I have heard, certainly in connection with this case, that there is animosity between Judge Newman and the rest of her peers on the court. I want to talk about this, though, because I think it's very ugly, and it, in addition to ageism, which is itself a problem, and I think that this is something that courts need to be considering going forward. I just think it's very ugly, and the fact that the Federal Circuit is sort of airing its dirty laundry publicly like this really bothers me, and I worry may create an environment in which it undermines the court's authority. So I just wanted to speak about that for a few minutes before we turn to something a bit more topical. So last week, one of the issues to hit the wires I thought was at least worthy of talking about was the Authors Guild, which includes John Grisham and Ellen Hillenbrand, among other authors, sued ChatGPT, just the latest in a string of lawsuits against ChatGPT, alleging copyright infringement. They essentially allege that the language model is using their works to train itself. And of course, this mirrors, at least in sum and substance, the lawsuit brought by Sarah Silverman in July, in which she essentially alleged the same thing. Sarah Silverman's claim was basically that you could, one can put into the chatbot, give me a joke in the style of Sarah Silverman, and it'll produce a response. This is important because if Meta, which was also sued by Sarah Silverman, and ChatGPT are found to be liable, they're going to have to pay out royalty rates. And that could really be problematic for the technology. Coincidentally, ChatGPT just recently launched an opt-out provision in connection with its image generator, DALL-E, which now allows artists to opt out of having their works be included in training the language model. So in this era of ChatGPT, which is constantly evolving, again, the technology as of today, it is, again, September 29th, is still really less than a year old. The original version of ChatGPT, at least to the extent that it was released to the public, and I don't know what version that was, maybe it was 3.0, I can't remember, I think was only released last November. So the fact that there's this much discussion about the technology, and we're less than a year old, I think it's frankly incredible, and we're going to see over the next couple of years exactly how courts are treating this technology. shameless plug, I also am one of the hosts of a podcast that we'll be launching in the coming weeks, where we will be talking about exclusively AI developments in AI and how the law is impacting them. So stay tuned for that, including an official launch, but that is coming, and we'll be talking a little bit about that here during MacMull's Musings. So thank you, and tune in next week.